Good evening, Garden City. I'd like to call to order our regular scheduled council meeting for Monday, December 17th, 2018 at 7 p.m. Our first order of business is our opening ceremony, which consists of the national anthem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for those service members that have given their lives while defending our country. Would everybody please stand? Thank you. Please be seated. Clerk Masty, can you take the roll call, please?
Mayor Lawler?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jacobs?
Here.
Councilmember Lynch? Here. Councilmember Squires? Here. Councilmember Earl?
Here.
Councilmember McCarge? Here. Councilmember Kerwin?
Here.
Okay, at this time, we'll move on to item 4, approval of the agenda.
Mayor,
Councilmember Lynch.
I move for the approval of the agenda for Monday, December 17th, 2018, with the deletion of 10A and B1.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Squires. Any comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that passes 7-0. This time, we're going to move on to item 5, recognition. We have some new police officers that are going to get sworn in tonight. I'm going to invite Chief Gibbons up to introduce them. Say a few words about them.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Okay.
Yes, exciting day here at GCPD. We'll be swearing in 3 new officers. These officers are replacing officers who were vacancies created by retirements. And as our new officers come in, they'll be basically replacing officers with a lot of experience, so they've got some big shoes to fill. But after seeing these applicants' qualifications, I'm pretty excited. I think they're ready up to the task. Our first officer, Officer Lawrence Kehoe, comes to us from another Southeast Michigan law enforcement agency, so with experience, and we're excited to have him. Officer Clarence Whitfield. Clarence recently graduated Washtenaw County Community College Police Academy, and through a background investigation and getting to know him, we're really excited to have him. And Officer Scott Nowak also will be coming to us from another Southeast Michigan law enforcement agency. So it's good to have some experience, and we're excited to have all 3. And now I'll turn it over to Judge Hammer and invite the officers up.
At this time, we'll have the Honorable Judge Richard Hammer to swear him in. Yep.
Thank you, sir. It's quite an honor to be able to do this for you. I've lived in Garden City virtually my entire life, and I know there's always been a respect in the community for the officers, for more than law enforcement officers, to the custodians of the community and friends of the community. And I'm very honored to be able to do this for you and for the city. So I'll have you all please raise your right hands and state your name. I, do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Michigan,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Michigan,
the laws and ordinances of the city of Garden City,
the laws and ordinances of the city of Garden City,
and will uphold and abide by the rules and regulations,
and will uphold and abide by the rules and regulations,
as well as all other orders, be they general, special, or otherwise,
as well as all other orders, be they general, special, or otherwise,
of the Garden City Police Department,
of the Garden City Police
to
Department,
the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
That I will not at any time
that I will not at any time
lend, aid, or advise,
lend aid or advise,
or lend succor
or lend succor
to any organization
to any organization
known or suspected of having subversive tendencies,
known or suspected of having subversive tendencies,
nor will I in any way
nor will I in any way
affiliate myself with such organizations.
affiliate myself with such organizations.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
All right, at this time, we'll call up each officer's a family member or significant other to take advantage of. First up will be Officer Joe, whose mother Ellen and daughter Avery will be doing the honor today. Great job. All right, now Officer Whitfield's mother Helen will be putting his badge on him. Feel free to get back any revenge you need from childhood or anything else. That's right, it doesn't count. All right. All right, last but not least, Officer Scott Nowak's girlfriend Madison will be pinning his on. Great job. Quick picture with council and we'll be all set. That was pretty smooth badge pinning. Nice job, everybody. No blood or anything.
They need to call me sign before I sneak out. Okay, good. Thank you.
See Michelle up there and sign. You guys are good? Good job.
3 signatures, please. 3 signatures. And you can keep the green one. I'll just take the white ones.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's not official till you sign.
Just 3 copies to sign. I think you can bring them again. Thank you.
You guys are welcome to go out in the hallway. You don't have to stay for the meeting. If the family members want to go out, you're welcome to.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Garden City Police Department, though. We're proud to have you.
Go. Have a good one.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to call up Monica Fulton. Give another 30 seconds there, Monica. Let them.
Sure.
I'm in.
Hi, tonight I'm here to recognize the sponsors that supported the Garden City Fitness Court at the gold sponsorship level and above. So first I'd like to have Kathy Ward and Ellen Rothfelder from the Senior Volunteer Committee Thrift Shop join me up here at the podium, if you would. The Thrift Shop was the very first sponsor of our Patronicity fundraising campaign with a $5,000 donation. The ladies were very excited to donate money to this, and I was very grateful. Please come on up. And this is a plaque for you, Kathy and Ellen, for the thrift store, for your enthusiasm and your support of our fitness court. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Did you want to say anything? Okay. Next, could I have Dan Plamondon from the Garden City Supervisory and Professional Personnel Association? The GCSPPA is made up of the city's department heads, executive secretaries, and professional personnel, and their group also supported the campaign with a $5,000 donation too. So the city is very grateful for the support. Dan, here you go on behalf of us. Okay, next up, can I have Jamie Iodice, President of Greater Metropolitan Association of Realtors, and Travis Greer and Rob Cox join me, please. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here tonight. We were very fortunate to receive a $5,000 grant from GMAR's Placemaking Grant Program. So, on behalf of the city, Jamie, I'd like to present you with this plaque for your support of our vision here in Garden City.
I won't never hold up a meeting. This is very exciting. I've never seen the installation of officers before, so that was cool. Thank you very much. We love to be a partner. Our organization wouldn't exist without fantastic realtors, and we love our communities, and we want to be a part of our communities, and this is a testament to that. So thank you for giving us this opportunity and being partners with us.
Okay, next up, I'd like to have Kim Mitten-Han, the supervisor of the Garden City Family Resource Center, join me and the mayor up here. Thank you, Kim. The FRC was very happy to support free fitness for our residents, and they donated $20,000 to make it happen in town. So Kim, please accept this plaque in appreciation for the FRC's support of the fitness court. Okay, and let's see, next and I believe last but not least, I'd like to invite Dominic Romano from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation up to the podium. Dominic. So Dominic was instrumental in helping Garden City become eligible for matching funds through the MEDC's Public Spaces Community Places program. So when our community raised $50,000 on Patronicity through that online platform, MEDC matched it with $50,000, making our fitness court a reality. So Dominic, here's a plaque in appreciation for MED's support of the very first National Fitness Campaign fitness court in Michigan.
We really appreciate being able to participate in a project like this and to be a part of your community in this way. It's really great when the community comes together to make things better for themselves, for their residents, for the businesses and the organizations that support it. And we can only hope to help support that in a way that's non-intrusive, but just to be a participant and to help out. And these are the things that really make a community shine and unique. And we're just happy to be a part of it. So thank you so much, and have a great holidays. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to do one last thank you to all the sponsors and individuals who donated to the campaign. I hope the community gets out and makes use of the fitness court and enjoys it, maybe when the weather's a little nicer. But I know I'll be out there, so if you see me out there, make sure and say hi. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to have our annual audit presentation by Plant Moran.
Good evening. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I was losing my voice on the way here, which is not expected. My name is Michelle Lewis, and I'm with Plant Moran. With me today is Erin Brzezinski, and she's our in charge on the job. And prior to today, sorry, there we go. Prior to today, we met with the city manager and clerk, and we went over these financial statements with them. In front of you, you have 3 documents. One's the financial statements, the other one is the letter, and then we have the graph packet, which is the majority of this presentation. Thank goodness, because Erin is going to be covering that, so you don't have to listen to me. So before we get into that, though, if you could turn to page 1 of the large packet of the financial statements, you'll see that in this packet is our audit opinion. Our audit opinion is, again, an unmodified opinion. And what that means is that these set of financial statements present fairly the financial position of the city and the changes in that financial position. It's the opinion that you strive for, and it is the opinion that we're very happy to give the city. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Erin, and then I'll come back to cover the letter, hopefully after I get a little bit of my voice back.
Thank you.
Good evening. So in front of you, you have a graph packet. We like to use graphs when going through this information because it allows you to see trends from previous years. If you have any questions as we're going through, feel free to stop and ask. On the first graph in front of you, this shows the revenue for both the general fund and the public safety fund. So combined revenue was about $17.2 million within those funds. This is an increase of about $484,000 compared to last year. The city's 2 largest revenue sources are your state shared revenue and your property tax revenue, both of which were fairly consistent from last year. That increase can be seen as mostly in the money brought in from the district court, and that fluctuates each year just depending on kind of the activity throughout the year. And also there was an increase in investments this year, so your investment income also increased as well. The next slide shows the same 2 funds, your general fund and your public safety fund, but the expenditures within those funds. Overall expenditures decreased about $546,000 from last year. A lot of different areas kind of saw a decrease overall, the 3 largest ones being your public service, rec and culture, and the general government. Overall, the general fund received a few other reimbursements from the major and local street funds for some services provided, as well as they received a reimbursement from the MMRMA as a net asset distribution. Both of those reimbursements reduced the expenses for the year. The next graph in front of you shows pretty much the two aspects we just talked about, the revenue and expenditures for those two funds, kind of the relationship between those two. As you can see, the revenues exceed your expenditures for the year, and that allows your unassigned fund balance to increase, and that's shown by that line going through the graph there. Overall, your unassigned fund balance increased about $1.5 million from last year to about $7 million, which we'll look at the next slide. So this slide here shows detail of the city's fund balance at year end. There's two components of the city's fund balance, the first being your non-spendable fund balance, and this is just fund balance that's not in a spendable form, so that includes your prepaids. The second is your unassigned fund balance, and that's available for any purpose or use that the city decides. As I mentioned, that's about $7.1 million there, which is an increase of about $1.5 million from last year. And then the last slide in front of you just shows an overview of your water and sewer fund for the year. Overall operating revenue slightly decreased about $156,000. There were no rate changes during the year, so just a slightly lower usage throughout the year was a result of that. And then finally, your operating expenses increased about $318,000. There were just some additional expenses within the water and sewer fund, some repairs expenses, and then some additional bond issuance costs. There was a bond refunding this year. And that's kind of the highlight of some of the key components we wanted to show for you tonight. And so Michelle's going to cover the letter now, unless anybody has any questions.
Okay, let's try this again. In the letter, we have 3 sections. One is the internal control matters involved in the audit. The second is the required communications with council. And then the third is legislative items. So the first item here talks about any internal control items that we've identified during the audit. As part of the audit, we look at your internal controls, we do some testing of that internal control system, and if we identify matters to communicate, that's where we do so in this letter. So what we have here are 2 items. The first one is due to journal entries. So in closing the books, you require some journal entries. Some of them are very unusual transactions, and part of the audit identifies these transactions, and we proposed these adjustments to management, and they made the adjustments. Because we did make the adjustments, we are communicating that to you. It's important to note that this was a year-end thing, so your finances that you're getting throughout the year, this would not have affected that. So your year or your monthly council packets that you're getting with finance numbers are accurate. These are just year-end adjustments. Part of it was bond refunding, which is something that very rarely happens. And then there were some capital asset adjustments. Then there's one other adjustment that was made to accounts payable at year-end, and it was that some invoices to purchase a large purchase were recorded in 17, but were a deposit for 18. So it's just a timing difference. The records themselves were in excellent shape as we prepared for audit, and we had no disagreements with management over any of the entries. This Section 2 lays out our plan for the audit and how things went according to plan. So we performed the audit according to plan. We had no transactions other than the 2 we described that had to be booked into the previous period. In the middle of this 3rd page, we talk about a new accounting standard that was put into place this year for GASB 75. And that was the OPEB liability that is now on the front of your financial statements as opposed to in the footnotes where it had been. The liability is not a new liability. It's always been there. We talked about it last year in preparation for this standard. It's just putting them in a different position on the financial statements. And then the 3rd section of this letter, starting on page 6, just has a few legislative items that we thought might be of interest to council. some upcoming public acts that are just starting to get effective, especially around DDA and TIFA reporting that are important to council, some information on state shared revenue, LCSA, that sort of thing. If there are any questions on those, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, that's it.
Anybody have any questions?
Don't let my voice scare you.
Looks like a good
I'll answer
audit.
them.
Looks like a good audit.
It was. I mean, it was an excellent audit. Michelle was tasked with taking over a new position in the middle of the audit, and it was difficult for her, but she made it through, and we are here to offer an unmodified opinion, so I say it is a success.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7, community events. I'm going to call Monica Fulton back up.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you again. I'm just here to let everyone know in the community that on Saturday, January 12th, Maplewood will be hosting the Michigan State University Extension 4-H program. They're providing a program for teens ages 12 to 18 called Mad City Money. Children ages 8 to 12 can participate in this with a parent as well. But what Mad City Money is, I'm really excited about it. I can't wait for my son to do this. The kids will come to Maplewood Center and they will visit different merchants to get a taste of the adult world. So they're going to select food, travel, transportation, housing, household necessities, and other things that they'll need while trying to build a budget for their family, their simulated family. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be free lunch provided. There's going to be prizes and a giveaway, and there's no cost. This is thanks to a grant from Chemical Bank that MSU Extension received. So registration is going on now at Maplewood. It is space limited. We are about half full already. So if anyone out there is interested in having their teenager attend this or even attend with their child, I would recommend getting their name on the list right away. And if I can sneak one more thing in, I'm really sorry, Doc. The Michigan State Extension 4-H is also offering a Money Wizards class for children ages 8 to 12. And it will meet for 5 weeks on Mondays. The cost is only $30 if you're not a 4-H member, and it's only $10 if you are a 4-H member. So they're going to be talking a lot about managing money and how to save and how how to spend your money, how to save your money, how to donate and give, and that kind of thing. So it'll be really, really interesting. So registration is going on at Maplewood for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to call up Dan Plamanen. Parks and Rec Department.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to take a brief moment to acknowledge a recent event that took place at the Ice Arena. It was the 9th annual Wings on Fire Robbie Spellman Charity Hockey Game event. It took place on Saturday, December 8th. Anthony Leitz, who is a teacher at Douglas Elementary School, who's also a former hockey player here in Garden City, was the event organizer. The cause behind the event is to remember their lost friend, Robbie Spellman, and they also take an opportunity to pick a charitable cause behind the event. This year's event hosted 230 people at the arena, which is a little over half capacity of the building, raised over $2,100. And the event is put on again to honor their late friend Robbie and pick various charities. This year they raised money for a 13-year-old boy named Noel, who has recently beat medulloblastoma, which is a cancerous tumor in the brain. This year's funds were raised to help Noel with ongoing chemotherapy as well as radiation treatments. Funds this year will go to Noel and family for an all-expense paid trip to Splash Village, in addition to helping his family out with gas cards and some additional fun things for he and his family to enjoy. And then in addition to those efforts by him and his group, they were also made an effort to try to raise awareness for playing hockey in Garden City with the Garden City Hockey Association. So I just want to take a moment to give kudos to Anthony and that group of Garden City Goldwings that played hockey here in Garden City, as well as the Wayne Firebirds. And we look forward to hosting that event again next year for their 10th annual. Thank you.
Thank you.
I,
8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. Okay, moving on to item 8, comments from state and county officials. I see we have our state representative, Jewel Jones, wants to come up and say a few words to us.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens. Last week of session, supposedly, it's been very interesting up there lately. I'm not sure if you all have been tracking, but paid sick leave and the minimum wage initiatives that were put on the ballot by the citizens have been gutted. And so at first, in 2022, minimum wage was supposed to rise up to $12 an hour, but now it's going to be delayed until 2030. And also, tipped workers, they were supposed to see their salaries gradually increase, but that's been gutted as well. As far as the paid sick leave, we were trying to get it that employees would get paid for sick leave, and it would be basically a more comfortable pay, and it would get more hours per year, but that's been gutted as well. Last week as well, we were in a session for about 17 hours, and the last vote at 3 a.m. Was around A through F grading. So now schools in the state of Michigan will be graded on an A through F scale. It's kind of mixed emotions about this. Some folk, mostly on the other side, have been saying that it would be good for the state to show us where we are lacking and what we can improve upon. But others are fearful that this might target schools in certain communities that will make it not beneficial. It might potentially close down more schools because of the grading that we receive. Beyond that, auto insurance is expected to come up sometime soon, possibly this week. That is going to be interesting because it's a turnover between the House and the Senate that it has to be 5 days if it's voted in one chamber to move over to the next one. So if it's not done sometime early this week and they suspend the rules, it'll be put down and we won't be taking up auto insurance discussions until next year. The only concern I have with it right now is that the proposed rate reductions might not be strong enough for us to really pass it through because there are guaranteed rates reductions that's been expected, but I'm not sure that they're significant. So that's the only issue we're working through right now. But like I said, it should be the last week of session. Any questions?
Any questions?
No question, but a statement.
Yeah.
Do your best. Work magic on that insurance bill.
I'm trying to.
Because it's hurting everyone.
All right.
Thank you for the
Thank
update,
you.
though. We appreciate it.
Certainly. Thank you.
Okay. I don't see anybody here from the county. Is there any other elected officials here? Okay. Seeing none. Move on to item 11, the consent agenda.
Mayor?
Councilmember Lynch.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda, items 11A, 1 through 7, and then a couple comments, if I could.
Yes.
After I get seconded.
Do I have a support?
Support.
Support from Councilmember Squires.
Okay, number 4, the mayoral reappointments for the Board of Review was John C. Gasser and Mark Hammer with terms to expire 12/31/2021. And the Civil Service Commission, Wayne Parker with the term expiring 12/31/2021. And then I'd like the city manager just to make a comment on number 5 and 7, please.
5, all right. The city model, seal, and logo. What we talked about was adjustment a little bit to the seal itself, keeping it generally as is, as a more of a patch style, but also a horizontal, as we've had on some uniforms. We're looking at the new vehicles coming through. Gave an example to the council how it would look with the horizontal view. Basically still with the tree and the sun, still with the same language, same words, as well as in the same font. Just kind of a patch look as well as a horizontal was the objective there, and still keeping the city motto, a great place to call home, which is a great motto for us. And then the 5-year capital improvement, number 7, that is something by charter. Not quite sure why it's done this way, but we're looking at potential charter review in the future. But by charter, to this day, we have to submit, the city manager's office, submit the 5-year capital plan for the next 5 years. But on May 15th, it would actually be, needs to be approved by the council. The issue we have here, and just my own, I guess, common sense looking at it, is capital plan overall is what you have left once the lights are turned on, staff are paid, and your miscellaneous bills are taken care of. The capital plan tends to be more of a wish list. If there's money there, let's hope to do some of these things. to actually put a final out right now to the council and say, here's absolutely our capital plan. By the way, the budget will be done in 3 months from now. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So by charter, we're submitting what a 5-year potential capital plan would look like. That will be tweaked as we go through the budget process the next 3 months. Doesn't officially have to be approved by the council till May, but at this point, by charter, we had to submit something. So there was some work certainly put into this, but the charter, but the capital plan should reflect what the budget is. So whatever we say we're putting in the capital in the end should be in our actual budget. Until we go through the budget process, we're not quite sure what we could put in for capital. So it's a housekeeping thing a little bit. That's why we put it on the consent agenda, just to say we're not saying accept this, we're just saying it's being submitted by the charter. And possibly as we go through charter reviews in the future, we may want to tweak that a little bit and make sure we take care of the budget first, and then capital kind of comes in second.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the table?
Mayor,
Councilmember McCart?
on the capital improvement, I agree, with Doc, it was kind of a wish list, but, years ago, when we did the 5-year capital improvement, we, as department heads, we wanted to make sure the council knew the things that needed to be done, whether or not we had the money to do it or not. But because, and this was years ago, if it wasn't on that capital improvement plan, then somebody would say, well, you didn't tell us. So basically, this was a communication of, okay, these are the things that we're going to need. Now we have to decide what we can afford to do.
Sure.
So it's a good thing to have, but I agree, it kind of was almost a wish list.
Correct.
Any other comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that passes 7-0. Okay, we'll move on to item B2.
Mayor,
Councilmember Jacobs.
I move to approve a contract with Allied Building for the construction of a Michigan Indignant Defense Commission meeting space and related construction in reference to Michigan MI deal contract number 00641 in the amount of $34,525.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Kerwin. Mr. Doherty, you want to make some comments on this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is one of those before docs again. It's been going on about a year at this point. The state is directing all the communities with a court to have indigent council area to meet. Currently, as the courts are set up, if people come to City Hall during the day, you'll many times see attorneys meeting with people in the hallway with no privacy whatsoever. Now, that may be fine for the average person coming for a ticket violation or some other issues, but when it comes to the indigent council, a special program, there should be a place secured in any community that they can meet together and not be in the open space. So for the past year, there's been talk of different places in this building, including where the Christmas tree is, trying to develop that into a 10 by 10 room. Can people meet there, which I thought would kind of destroy the ambiance of this beautiful space as it is. So we finally come up with some type of plan, which is a back storage area that we're using. It's got access to the main lobby through the building department. $20,000 is being allotted to us from the state to do this construction, as we mentioned, in the amount of $34,000. So part of setting up this meeting space, kind of the mouse and the cookie and the bed and everything that goes with it, is things tumble. So we can do more work in the administrative offices to make it more inviting as the walkthrough back to see the mayor's office or to our conference room, as many people come through, people come through for construction projects. You're kind of going through a gauntlet of files through the building department, not a clean, easy way to come back to the meeting spaces without going by everybody's desks. So this will actually give us the opportunity, with most of it being covered by the state, to not only serve this need that we have, which is for our Indigent Defense Fund commission meeting space, council meeting space, but also to do a little more work in the administrative offices. So it's kind of kill two stones with one bird.
Yeah.
So.
Notre Dame education?
Yeah.
Go Irish.
Any other comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that passes 7-0. Our city manager is a comedian.
Sometimes there's just too many
Item
stones.
B3,
Mayor,
Councilmember Squires.
I move to approve the contract amendment for the arthritis exercise and Tai Chi and the supplemental appropriation to the general fund, increasing revenues and expenditures in the amount of $4,685 for the Senior Alliance Evidence-Based Disease Prevention Grants, and authorize the Community Resource Director to execute all necessary documents.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Lynch. Ms. Fulton, you want to come up and explain to the residents what this is all about, since it's your department?
Getting my exercise today.
Yep.
Yes, so the Senior Alliance is reallocating some funding, and we are the recipient of additional funding. So that is good news. Essentially, we're going to be able to provide more services in the arthritis class and the Tai Chi class at Maplewood. And as I've told you before, those classes are going gangbusters, and that's one of the reasons why we are getting additional funding, because it is it's a fee per unit that we get, less of a grant and more of a fee for service contract, and we are just providing so many units of service, and we're able to use more money, and other organizations maybe are not able to use as much money. So this will span 2 different fiscal years, so most of it will be in this fiscal year currently, and then a little bit July, August, and September's expenses will be in the following fiscal year. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item B4, lot split.
Mayor,
Councilmember Earl.
I move to approve the split combination of lots 30406 Bach, parcel number 35-017-01-0449-000, and vacant parcel number 35-01-01-0447-004.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Lynch. Mr. Doherty, you want to say anything on this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is standard, went through the city attorney's office to make sure it's a person that has kind of an L-shaped property. And they're keeping the 3 pieces together, but the side part, the bottom of the L, they're splitting into 2 legitimate lots. It's something that is standard done through us, but it has to come to council for a final approval. But it's gone through the ringer and has been lauded as a good event. So.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the table? General public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 5, contract award for removal and replacement of Ford Road gate valves and wells.
Mayor,
Councilmember Kerwin.
motion to award the contract for removal and replacement of 2 Ford Road gate valves and wells to CI Contracting of Brighton, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $26,000.
Support.
Support from Councilmember McCarge. I'll call up Ryan from Hennessy to explain why we need this.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is for the removal and replacement of 2 gate valves and wells on Ford Road. They're both within the road on the south side, one at Garden, one at Harrison. The one at Garden has been inoperable for some time now. I'm not sure, Brad might be able to give a better answer, but it's been quite a while. And then recently, I think back in July, it was found out that the one at Harrison was also inoperable. So in order to, if there's a water main breaker, we need to shut the water main down in that area. We have to shut down a significant area. Many commercial businesses would be affected by that if we had to shut down the water main. We did reach out to the 3 underground contractors that have been working in the city here this past fall to give us a quote to do that work. 2 of the 3 provided quotes back to us. CI Contracting, who's doing the road reconstruction program, came back with the lowest quote at $26,000 to do those 2 valves. And they specialize in underground infrastructure projects, so we do recommend awarding it to them, and we would just add it as a change order to the 2018 road reconstruction program. The cost is a little bit higher than what we would expect for gate valves. Few things, obviously there's going to be some more traffic control than what would typically be needed being out on Ford Road. Also, one of the gate wells has a storm sewer running through it that they got to work around as well too. So So we would recommend award to CI Contracting, and they can do this work immediately.
Okay, sounds good. It's important to get a good shut-off when they have a water main break.
Right.
So they can make their repair, so. Any other comments from the table, from the general public? Mr. Bacco.
Whose idea was that? Who had idea? Who found
It
it?
came from DPS because they can't get a good shut-off for water main breaks. Thank you. Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that passes 7-0. Might as well stay up there, Mr. Kern, because the next few are you. Item 6, contract award for flow metering.
Mayor?
Councilmember Lynch.
I move to award a one-year contract for flow metering for sanitary sewer outlets to ADS Environmental Services from December 1st, 2018 until November 30th, 2019, in an amount not to exceed $15,900. Support.
Support from Councilmember Kerwin. Mr. Kern.
So this is an item that's been in place with the city since 1997. There's two outlets. The sanitary sewer system has two outlets to the Wayne County Interceptor that runs along the Rouge River in Hines Park. One's at Merriman Road, one's at Middle Belt Road. And since that time, we've been monitoring the flow that we're discharging into the county system. Came to our attention back in September that the 3-year contract that the city had in place was expiring. Due to DOC being new, and I wasn't aware of this monitoring taking place in the city, they gave us an additional 3 months to take a look at the data to make sure that it was beneficial to the city and that we wanted to continue working with ADS Environmental and having the city perform these services. And we did look at the data and confirm that it is beneficial to the city for several reasons. One, it does provide alarms to the Department of Public Services if for whatever reason the sewers were surcharging or there was a potential for backups into the city system during large wet weather events. The data is also used and provided to Wayne County so that they know what the flows are coming from Garden City. The Wayne County Interceptor that Garden City goes to serves about 11 or 12 other communities as well. So there's always been talk for several years about in the future that the Rouge Valley system may need to construct a regional retention basin due to several communities exceeding their contract capacities during wet weather events. Garden City is one of those communities that does exceed during wet weather events at times. That's something that may come down the road. I would say at least 5 to 10 years before there's any talk of actually installing a regional retention treatment basin. The Rouge Valley system is currently going through a long-term capital improvement plan that they don't anticipate being completed with until 2023. So the data that we get from this flow monitoring will be able to help with what participation Garden City would have if there was to be a regional retention basin built in the future. With the lining work that we've been doing, some of the illicit connections that we do find from time to time, those exceedance of the amount that we exceed will continue to drop, and as that drops, there would be less participation needed into that basin. So we're recommending that we extend the contract for an additional year. It's at the same price as what the last 3-year contract was at.
Okay, and for the residents, those gate valves on the last one we just passed and this are both paid for out of the water fund. Any other comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 7,
Mayor?
Councilmember Lynch.
I move to award the contract for the submittal of the fiscal year 2022 Wayne County FAC application traffic counts to Hennessy Engineers in the amount not to exceed $1,800.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Kerwin. Mr. Kern.
So for the past 4 years, we've assisted the city with applying for federal aid assistance to reconstruct portions of Marquette Avenue. There's 3 streets in the city that are eligible for federal aid assistance: Marquette, Henry Ruff, and then Maplewood from Merriman to Inkster. 81.85% of the construction cost would be funded through federal aid assistance. Unfortunately, we're competing against 42 other communities, all of Wayne County except for the city of Detroit. Usually about 5 to 7 projects are awarded each year, and we're competing amongst 60 projects or so. 4 years ago when we applied, we were towards the bottom of the list. Every year, we get closer to that fundable range, so we're going to continue to apply. This would be for construction in year 2022 if we were to be approved. In order to apply, we have to have current traffic counts. So it's been over 3 years since we've done the traffic counts, so they will require that we update those traffic counts. And so that's what we're requesting at this time, is to perform those traffic counts and apply for federal aid assistance for 3 different sections of Marquette Avenue by March 30th of 2019.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilmember Lynch.
I know it's important for a traffic count to have traffic on the road.
Yes.
And I know because of the condition of Marquette, a lot of people, including myself, try to figure out a way around it rather than going across Marquette.
Yes.
That being said, will we know when we're going to be running the traffic counts so
Yes.
that people who live in the area can use the street as they normally would, so they can help with that traffic count? Because otherwise, it's
Yes.
not going to help us.
Yes, yeah, we can let the city know when we're going to do that work, and if you want to post it on social media, website and whatnot. I'm hoping to complete it within the next couple weeks before the snow starts flying. We'd like to get it done when there's no snow on the ground, obviously.
Unfortunately, this week is the last week and school will be closed for 2 weeks.
And we want to do it when school's in session, yes. So we would set the traffic counters up on a Monday. We take them down on a Friday. We count the traffic Tuesday through Thursday. So from Monday into Tuesday at midnight, up to Thursday into Friday at midnight is when we collect counts. We want to do it when school's in session, obviously, to get the most traffic possible. So I'll let you know when we're going to do it, but obviously we want to do it when there's no snow on the ground or any snow being predicted, because the snow plows will just tear up the equipment. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes 7-0. Item 8,
Mayor,
Councilmember Squires.
I move to adopt the attached resolution addressing county permit numbers A-19050, A-19105, and A-19138 for the calendar year 2019.
Support. Support from Councilmember Earl. Mr. Ryan?
So these are permits that the city signs off on with Wayne County every year at this time. They're basically for if there's any emergency repairs, such as water main breaks that are needed within county right-of-ways, any events that might take place, such as the Santa Land Parade, really any emergency event that takes place. Those items are covered under these permits. So this is something that's done annually at this time every year.
Okay. Any comments? General public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes 7-0. Item 9,
Mayor,
Councilmember McCarge.
I move to award a 3-year contract for emergency as-needed water and sewer repair services to Brigair Contractors Incorporated of Plymouth, Michigan, per bid.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Kerwin. Do you want to explain this one too?
I can do that. This is an item we've been talking about for quite a while in the DPW and finally moved forward with it. Basically, this is a contract for as-needed water and sewer repair services. It's something we may never use in the 3-year period, but basically it's for if, for whatever reason, the DPW is understaffed or we have multiple water main breaks going on at the same time, or one of the main line or transmission mains, water and sewer, for whatever reason there might be a failure that's something that's beyond the means that DPW can handle. Bidigary Contractors can do this, and they do this work for other communities, including the city of Westland. They take care of all their water and sewer repairs on an as-needed basis. They have a crew that's on call 24 hours. And if the need arises, we have bid pricing separated for all the different items in water and sewer. We did have 2 bids come in, Bidigary Contractors and D&D Water and Sewer, and overall Bidigary's prices were slightly less. And we did have the experience with working with them on the Craig Avenue water main project this year, and we were happy with that work. So, we're recommending that we sign a 3-year contract with Bidigary Contractors for as-needed services.
Okay. Any other questions? General public? Mr. Molnar.
It's not actually about the contract. It's about who's going to determine when you need to bring them in. The DPS, the city manager, you guys.
Well,
yeah, it'll probably be a combination of all the above. This was one of my babies when I first got here. Was we had 3 blowouts at one time and didn't have the equipment to take care of them. Water going down the drain is actual lost money to us. So can we get somebody else in here or staff our department more with proper equipment, which may be coming back as we talk about some water issues. But it was somebody at some point, the former director told me, who do we call? I said, we have to have somebody on call at any time.
Well, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, but
it definitely won't be used often because we should be able to take care of it in-house.
who's going to be in
Yeah.
charge? I guess.
Yeah, it'll be a combination of myself and the department to make sure we're best interest of the community. Good question.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0.
Well, Mayor, on the next two, we may have a slight change at this point. We may use these same ones calling for a public hearing for January 7th instead of actually moving forward on this.
Okay.
So the changing to approved should be to consider an ordinance, and then each of these should be ended with and call for a public hearing January 7th.
Okay, so we're going to...
2019. So we're just calling for a public hearing on the next 2 items.
Okay, so we don't need the chief tonight. He'll explain at the next meeting,
No,
correct?
we'll explain next time. yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Lynch?
Move to consider to approve an ordinance for the city of Garden City providing for amendments to the municipal civil infractions ordinance, being Chapter 41, Section 41.06, regarding the schedule of civil fines, providing for fines for failures to register rental dwellings, provide for repeal or severability, and providing for publication and effective date, and call for a public hearing on Monday, January 7th, 2019.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Squires. Any comments from the table?
No, I think this is a long time coming. I know we need to change
Yeah.
this. And, because we do have a lot of rentals here in Garden City.
Yep.
And I don't think a lot of them are registered. So thank you.
From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes 7-0. Item 11,
Mayor,
Councilmember Jacobs.
I move to consider approving an ordinance of the City of Garden City, providing for the attached amendments to the Code of Ordinances, Title 13, General Offenses, Section 131.02, as to domestic assaults, providing for repeal or severability, providing for publication and effective date, and call for a public hearing on January 7th.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Kerwin. Any comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 7-0. At this time, we'll move on to item 12, public comments that were not on the agenda tonight. If you wish to speak, come up to the podium, state your name. There is a 3-minute time limit. Anybody wishing to speak under public comments? I would like to remind, it's not the time to go back and forth with council members. This is your opportunity to make a comment or a statement. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Laura Ross with Trustworthy Holistic Caregivers. I wasn't able to make the last meeting, so because of that, I just quickly wrote some things down that I wanted to read if it was okay, just because of some things that were said. I just wanted to address a few comments and allegations said about myself and my ex-partner, Larry Reynolds. I know I have said this before, but I feel a need to mention it again. Larry Reynolds has not been an active member of Trustworthy Holistic Caregivers since July of 2017, and was legally removed in May of this year. He is not on any paperwork at the state level, and as for his felony he supposedly got in 2008, I knew nothing of, and certainly did not collude with him. As for other rumors and lies being made up from applicants 4 and 5 who are wanting to take my spot as one of the 3 medical marijuana facilities, we are in phase 3 of our application process with the state, and we have not stopped growing and would welcome any of you to our facility to check us out at any time to see for yourself. I would hope the city sees through their bullying and will do the just and right thing as you go into your closed session to discuss which 3 groups to allow in your city. Please take into consideration that we have been here for almost 9 years and have caused no problems or been a nuisance. We love Garden City and pray you will allow us to continue operating here. One other thing I wanted to say is I really feel for you guys. I would not want to be in your shoes. All this back and forth stuff that's been going on, I don't know that I could do your job. So I just want to say that whatever decision you guys come up with, we will respect. And that's basically all I had to say, but I do want to tell you guys, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and a very blessed New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak under public comments? Mr. Molnar.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, everybody. And I just want to thank everybody on that council for being there. And sometimes it hasn't been easy for you, I know. And sometimes I'll give you a little hard time, I know that too. But some of you have come through some rough year, and you're still hanging in there. And I personally want to thank you for all you do for us. And we'll try to be a little easier on you next year.
Thank you, Mr. Molnar.
Very nice.
Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Jones. Love the jersey.
Wow. Wow.
Love the jersey.
Oh, boy.
Can we give him extra time?
20 seconds. Mike Jones, Donnelly and Garden City. I just wanted to offer my kudos to the Garden City Goodfellows for the food and toys that they raise for the needy families. And thanks to the volunteers that included at least 2 of the council members. I think the city manager was there that helped deliver those gifts and food this last Sunday morning. Great job for people that really needed it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. A few quick points. We had a great meeting with the McDonald's Corporation was in at the Planning Commission the other day. They'll be reporting back in January. Looks like everybody's coming to terms and agreement of what McDonald's should look like in a site plan. After 8 years of going back and forth, it looks like this spring, hopefully they'll be under full construction, opening at the end of the summer or midsummer or so. But again, the Planning Commission is going to see them again with full details in January, maybe the ZBA board, and then hopefully to this council by the end of January for final approval. If all goes well, we'll be looking at a new corner on Ford and Middlebelt this spring under construction, which is awesome. I'm working with Dan York also on our website for the roads web pages. That should be done in the next week, of keeping all the campaign information on a web page, as well as where we are with this next spring's roads that we're going to be working on, setting up a full budget line of money in, money out, so everybody sees everything going on, and then have each year as we go through the process, that'll be all documented. So anyone that questions what's going on with roads, it'll be all right there. Hopefully in the next week, we'll be posting that live. Third, City Hall will be closed Monday and Tuesday, the next 2 Monday and Tuesdays, being that Christmas Eve and Christmas is Monday and Tuesday next week. The following week will be New Year's Eve and January 1st, New Year's Day. So City Hall will be closed the next 2 Monday and Tuesdays. Santa Ride this Thursday. For those that aren't aware of it, please check our website. There's information about the first inaugural Santa Ride, December 20th, 7 p.m. There is a map on the water bill that everyone should have received at some point. I know in the pews there's some of these water bills at the end. Santa Claus is going to be leaving in a little parade of a police car and a fire truck, making as much noise as possible for people to let him know he's coming by for his last ride through the city before getting the gifts together. So this Thursday night, 7 p.m., leaving City Hall, working our way over to Helen, down to Marquette, Vinoy, Maplewood, basically a circle around the city, just passing by the homes. People can come on out from their homes themselves, come down a block or 2 from where they live. You will hear the sirens blasting, wondering what's happening. If you do step out, you will see Santa passing by everybody's house for just maybe a 30-minute ride throughout the city before he gets back up to the North Pole. And also, you may notice in the water bill that came to everybody's houses is letters to Santa. I just received a report back just before the meeting from the North Pole that 42 42 children in Garden City have received letters from Santa that have dropped letters in the mailbox that you'll see out in the lobby. For anyone that has any letters remaining at home at this point, may want to come by City Hall, drop them in the North Pole mailbox, and it disappears at the end of the night, and they receive a letter back at their house. So about 42 children at this point, thanks to Santa and his elves. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
City Council comments. We'll start with Councilmember Earl.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'm very pleased with the audit. I've been going over the report. This city faced a pretty tough time a few years ago, 8 years ago or so, and the reason we're so good now is credit to the leaders back then and the employees that really tightened the belts and made some very difficult choices. So I hope the citizens realize that the reason we're here now is there was great decisions then, and we're continuing to move forward in a very positive way. So I'm very pleased to see that. With the holidays coming up, I'd like the citizens to remember also the city workers that will be working Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and through the holiday season to keep the services going and keep you safe. And I hope everybody has a safe and happy Christmas with their families. And I hope that everybody has a very good New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Squires.
Okay, first I'd like to congratulate our new police officers on their swearing in tonight. And looks like we're going to have a pretty full staff. And also, I just wanted to wish happy holidays to all of the residents and my council members and mayor, city manager, and be safe and enjoy.
Thank you.
That's it.
Councilmember Jacobs.
Yes, a couple things. Mr. Doherty, now we have a fire marshal. We have a burnt-out building down on Ford and Merriman.
Yes.
Is there any way they can get in there and possibly see how bad the damage is and if it's ready to be condemned after 5 years?
Absolutely. We could take a look at that, work with the police chief and the fire marshal.
Thank you.
Get something back to you.
Okay. On positive notes, we have Skate with Santa this Saturday at the Garden City Ice Arena from 12 to 1 o'clock. Admission is $4 for everybody. So take advantage, and when Santa's done doing his parade Thursday or tour Thursday, you can come and do a skate. And then also, we have Hockey for Heroes, 3rd annual. It is January 12th. It's our Garden City firefighters and police department versus the Michigan Warriors. Last year, it raised about $5,000 that went toward PTSD awareness and that. It's a great cause. There's a lot of giveaways, a lot of prizes, raffle tickets that you can get. Police and fire obviously are all over there. And again, that's January 12th at 1 p.m. Your entry is by donation. If you want to give a donation, if you don't, obviously nobody's going to stop you, but it goes to a really good cause. And again, that's the 12th. And other than that, I'd just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and be safe and enjoy your families. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lynch.
First, I want to say what a beautiful city Garden City is with all the Christmas lights that are up and around. I don't know if you've taken the time to drive up and down the streets, but some of these displays are just beautiful. And I want to thank those people who have lit up their houses because I know they've lit up many hearts in Garden City. I also want to thank so many people this holiday season: the Goodfellas, United Needy Families, the Rotary Kiwanis for the Children's Christmas Party, all the churches, the food pantries, the sports venue, schools, many individuals who are out there supporting all of the Garden City families who are in need of support, not only during this holiday season, but they do this on a regular basis and are so quiet about it. They don't like to toot their own horn, but they're out there working hard for all the families of Garden City. I want to send every one of those people holiday blessings and wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. See you in 2019.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Kerwin.
At the Straight Farmhouse, they're having nativities from around the world through December 22nd. This is a free event. If you have not seen it, it's amazing. The exhibit is a private collection of over 250 nativities from various countries and is on loan to the Straight Farmhouse for a limited time. The exhibit will be open regular museum hours, Wednesday and Saturday, noon to 3. And again, it's free, so take the kids. I was asked by a resident of Garden City to read what she wrote, and she said, "I love living in Garden City for many reasons. The small hometown feeling is amazing. I have great neighbors, lots of city events. My daughter has had the most wonderful teachers and always a sense of belonging. However, on the top of the list right now is how beautiful downtown Garden City looks. The city really did a terrific job decorating for Christmas." And she's a resident and a teacher here in Garden City as well. And I just want to say, I just love that we have a mailbox for Santa for the kids to drop the letters off. It's the little things, and the Santa ride, I think that's amazing. And from my family to yours, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember McCarge?
Again, kudos for the Good Fellows, the organizers, but all of, the volunteers and especially those people who donated to make sure that families have a good Christmas. Doc, you lucked out this year. Some of the deliveries, and Doc and his family helped deliver packages, but we've delivered those in 18 inches of snow before, too.
It was like 75 degrees. It was beautiful on Saturday, Sunday.
So it was a really nice day, and thank you. But also, special thanks to Barson's Greenhouse for, I don't even know how many years. He brings over these big carts that we use to bring, take the food out to the cars. He's done it, I know, at least 15 years. And and then plus he's also delivering. And even though his Barson's Greenhouse is actually in Westland, we've adopted him. He's Garden City, and he's adopted us. So thank you, Joe and Debbie Barsons. Mr. Molnar, I would be very disappointed if our citizens didn't come up and voice their concerns. So thank you, especially because you do it pretty nice. Okay. I was sorry that Commissioner Glenn Anderson isn't here tonight because I'd like him to hear what I have to say. The Kiwanis Rotary had a party for the kids, and I was one of the organizers, so I had to go and start the party. But I had to leave to go to a community development block grant meeting in Trenton. But I ran into Commissioner Anderson, and I had mentioned the meeting, which he was very disappointed that he hadn't been told about. He stopped everything and went out to Trenton that night. I just kudos to the commissioner for being there and taking the time, and I really appreciate it. And I'll be talking more in the near future about the Community Development Block Grant Program. But again, thank you, Glenn Anderson. Well, one more. We had the schedule for the council meetings on our consent agenda. One thing I found that with budgets, they haven't been super hard the last so many years because we didn't have any money. If you don't have any money, it's pretty easy to budget, So now we are getting, out of a little bit of that crunch. And again, Councilman Earl, put it right on target there. Kudos to the department heads and our administration for getting us through that rough time. But our budget meetings will start in February, and I know they keep them posted, and the residents are encouraged to attend those meetings. We need to make good expenditures, and we need to make sure that we are also careful with citizens' money. So please join us for those budget meetings. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Clerk Massey, you have anything for us tonight?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to say ditto on a lot of the comments. We have a great city. I love living here. It's an honor being the mayor. And I just want to wish all the residents a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to go into closed session for medical marijuana.
So moved.
Support by Councilmember Jacobs. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin? Councilmember McCarge?
Aye.
Councilmember Earl?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. At this time, we're going to recess to go into closed session. Thank you.